All right, people, we are here. Day 12. Let's get her going, okay? We're having a great day today. We got all kinds of fantastic stuff to talk about. So we got to get through this pretty quick because I got James breathing down my neck. Got him all the way from England saying, come on, bruv. Come on, bruv. Come on, bruv. I got you, James. I hear you. I feel that dedication to production and a tight time schedule, and I appreciate it, okay? I appreciate it. But, hey, how you doing today? Glad you're here. Glad you're fucking here. That's right. We cuss around here with no apologies given because that's how we do. We just come out the gate and we express who we are authentically, okay? We ain't trying to put on airs, as my mom and grandma used to say. What you doing, boy? You putting on some airs there? You think you're better than us? You think you're better? No, we're just being authentic around here. We cuss all we want to. That's right. That's how we do. If you don't want to cuss, that's all right. You don't have to. You can go ahead and be one of them non-cussers, one of them teetotalers. That's all right. That's all right. We do drink tequila around here, don't we? We do. Speaking of tequila, hey, last night I made some of that tallow. I got it out. It's cleaning itself right now. I got a whole process. I'll tell you about it on Sunday Fun Day, so make sure you come back for that. I'm going to talk about the whole process of making that tallow. Going to talk about where we're at with our pastrami. So good. If you missed the last one, go back there and watch it on Sunday Fun Day. We started a pastrami out. Now, I tell you, you're invited. If you're in the area, if you're in my neck of the woods, come by and get a pastrami sandwich. Not this weekend, but probably next weekend, okay? Because it takes 14 days for it to cure. Now, it says only about 7 or 8, but I like to push it a little further. I'm always pushing the line, ain't we? Because that's how we have a good time. Keep it spicy. Keep it spicy. That's right. Now, how you doing today? Are you stoked? Are you excited? You stoking that fire? You got your passion? You got your juices flowing, burning? You ready to just vibrate your way outside that door out into the world and, you know, get everybody else vibrating? Or either that or they hate your guts because you're so happy, right? They hate us because they ain't us. Is that what they say? But they're all mad because you're out there just vibrating all excited. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How come you're not all mad like we're mad? Just ignore them. Hey, are you managing that critical eye? Okay, you keeping it locked in the hole? You using that impulse control to avoid those snares of those other people when they try to come against you? That's the way to do it. Rise above, go on. Rising above doesn't mean you fight. Doesn't mean you're a coward. Doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you got better things to do, people. Why do you want to sit at a stop sign yelling at somebody with road rage when you're on your way to get an ice cream cone? Go get that ice cream. Don't yell. Don't waste your hour yelling at these people. Get your ass on over to the ice cream parlor and get yourself some of that ice cream or ice cream sundae, whatever it is, okay? Now, how's your schedule doing? You got that honed in? Because that schedule is how you're going to direct your life to end up where you're happiest. Okay, go where they treat you best. All right, if they don't treat you nice, get out there. Go find yourself somebody who will. All right, you can always shine up an ugly penny, but you know if a pretty penny's treating you terrible, and can't do nothing about that, people. Can't do nothing about that. All right, so we're excited. Yesterday we did some of that head construction, trying to get on the path to get more realistic drawings, and also trying to be able to use our imagination with utilizing simplified objects so that it's easy to put it out in 3D space, okay? And we kind of showed you how to build it like with building blocks, and today we're going to take that a little bit further. We're going to build ourselves an insect army, okay? That's what we're going to do. It's going to be fun, all right? Give me a minute. Got a couple of announcements to go through. Now we got Papa Canales. He came out of his heart surgery A-okay, so we're all happy about that. Little golf clap for that. Little red bar action, Mike David. We're all happy about that. So we wish him well and a speedy recovery, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure, okay? Now, I already talked about the tallow. I made a whole bunch of that tallow last night. all night long, had it in the oven, had it cooking, and then I'm making cracklings with the remainder of the fat. Now, if you don't know what crackling is, you better go research that a little bit, because I tell you, they're fantastic. All right, I'll talk about that on Sunday too. Okay, I'll show you what's going on. Then I got something in the mail right here. Got a little something in the mail from Comic Book Shop News. All right, went on over to Forbidden Planet. You know what I'm saying? They sent me a sticker too. Can't be mad about that. Forbidden Planet, love getting stickers, all that kind of collateral. I love it. I love it. I love it. I got the Greg Capullo Wolverine black and white. Okay, look at that. All right. Appropriate audiences only. That means it's going to be bloody, people. That's what we're talking about right here. Now, why the hell did I get these comic books? Okay, well, I got them because they're just Greg Capullo's pencils. All right, now I just wanted to see his pencils. I didn't want to see the other guy put the inks on top, and then the color guy comes in and changes it some more, and then who knows if the letterer guy comes in and changes it more. I just want to see his pencils, so I'm really stoked to get those, and we're going to check them out. Wolverine was my OG favorite superhero way back in the day when I first started. I got his first series, and I fell in love with it ever since. The idea of Wolverine, his character, the masculinity, the way he handles things, and his berserker rage going all out like that. So I love Wolverine, love drawing him, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's why I got those. Those are awesome, and I'm stoked to have them. All right, but I did get another thing in the mail, and I'm stoked about this book right here. This is Franklin Booth. Okay, don't know if you heard of him. He's an old school guy. Meaning he's already dead. He was around in like the 1800s, and he did pen and ink engravings, and they call him the painter, the painter with the pen. So that's some of his renderings with the pen and ink, and he did all kinds of stuff. Let me see if I can't find you some good ones in here. And he did stuff for magazines. He did landscapes and all kinds of stuff, advertisements. Here's some good ones. And I love this book because it has a lot of his advertisements from the magazines in them. Okay? And I love all of that. I guess we would call that like a Victorian era aesthetic or whatnot, something like that. But he has just tremendous, tremendous panels in here. I mean, I guess you call them plates. Whoop, I'm trying not to have it cockeyed. But as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and try to implement practice. I'm going to practice. Can you believe that? I'm going to practice on implementing some of those ink styles into my artwork because I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love Franklin Booth. Love his ink style. There's another artist that I was looking at. His name is A-Stop, I think. And I think he does the Post-it notes. And I kind of get that vibe from him. And I love his artwork too. He does little Post-it notes. So love it, love it. Be looking for that. Started work on Kitty City. Going to start releasing it weekly when I find the right place to upload it. Because what I'm doing is I'm drawing it out on my big watercolor paper. Then I'm going up to the place where I have access to a huge flatbed scanner. I'm scanning it all in. And then I'm coming home and I'm putting it on the Clip Studio Paint program and having the program generate a webcomic file that allows you to read it vertically. Then I'm taking that file and I'm uploading it somewhere. I'm trying to redo my website at the same time, but I'm trying to find either a place where it can get a larger viewership or I'll just do it on my website. Either way, I'll let you know, and I'm really excited about that. Of course, if you don't know or don't remember, that's the story about our character Mersh and how he rescues these cats that are living in a dumpster behind a 7-Eleven. And then he meets this girl inadvertently or on purpose, takes some sort of drug, psychedelics, and then the cats start talking to him, okay? And the cats desperately need his help to save their kitty city, okay? So that's what it's about, save their culture from an overwhelming sense of evil that's going to consume their civilization. So it's a little bit based upon like Trevor Moore's Kitty History song. That's where I got the idea. And if you don't know that song, go listen to it. It's fantastic. It's a parody set to like a surfer tune, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so that's where that's at right there. Very excited about that. Red bar, golf club, red bar. Yeah. All right. Now I want to briefly touch upon one or two thoughts, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into this demonstration. So here's my one or two thoughts. Okay. Now, there's been a lot of talk about professionalism, okay, and what professionalism is, all right? And, you know, a lot of people put on a little tie and they say they're going to try to become and act, and they're becoming more professional, and this, they put on a suit and they think that that's professionalism, or there's a certain way that they don't talk about drama or something like that as professionalism. And I have a little bit of a bone to pick about this word professionalism. And this morning I was talking to Lathan Devers, shout out to Lathan, over there in Germany. We were chit-chatting about psychology. And we were chit-chatting about Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist, and a couple of other things, a couple other writings. And I really enjoyed that conversation. And so it got me thinking, you know, it got me thinking about what is this concept of professionalism, all right? And I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys about it. And what professionalism really is a refinement of intellect through pursuit of study, whether it's academic or on your own or whatever. But you develop this and you establish an abstract process within your mind. And it's the reliance upon that process to get predictable, sustainable, efficient outcomes. Okay, that's professionalism. It's a process of refinement. Okay, you become professional after you're refined. You don't just put on a tie and call yourself a professional. You don't just start speaking with jargon from that industry and call yourself professional. It's really a refinement of who you are as an individual to reach this state of raised standards and dependable output, even when you're under stress. That is the proof that you're a professional. You get what I'm saying? A professional is someone who navigates their life or their work or their output through a process that's dependable and efficient. And they continually are refining this process, and they live by this process so that everyone around them in their company can depend upon the yield of that process at a high quality. And that is what professionalism is, okay? It's not a tie. It's not having a Mont Blanc pen. It's not deciding that you're going to get some Louis Vuitton, you know, dress shoes. It's not that. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of a concept called cargo cult. Have you guys ever heard about this concept of the cargo cult? I'm going to break it down for you real quick. Okay? First, I'm going to tell you an analogy so that you can kind of get it. All right? Now, back in the day, there was a bunch of Americans that flew over to Africa to bring aid to Africa, okay? And so they're all tribal over there, right? They live in their mud huts or whatever. They are out there hunting their boars and their whatever with their spears and their bows and arrows and all that good stuff. Well, these Americans come over there to try to help bring them some aid, some food, some medicine, whatever. And the Americans or whatever, they built this runway. So they cleared off this path of grass or in the field, and then a guy would go out on the runway and have his signal beacons, you know, those little batons that light up, and he'd go like this, and then like this, and then all of a sudden, through the clouds, an airplane would start to come down, and it would land on that runway, and then he would go like this, and then the airplane would follow along, and then come and stop, and then it would open up the back, and then they would unload all this cargo. Then the guy would go like this again with the batons, and the plane would turn around and it would take off and go back up into the sky and it'd be gone, right? Well, after the Americans pulled out, they did their business, they pulled out after a year or two or whatever, people started noticing when they would come back and visit or check on them that these tribes started to do similar things. They made a clearing in the grass, and then they took two sticks and lit them on fire, and they started doing the dance that they saw the Americans do. And they were trying to get the big bird in the sky to come land to give them all that nice cargo, right? So they didn't know that that's not what was happening, right? They thought that if you made a path for the airplane to land, and then you did a special dance with those two sticks, that the airplane would come and land and give them food and water. And that's what they thought was going on. It's the same thing with professionalism. These people who are not refined are looking at professionals thinking, all I got to do is do the little dance, put on the little outfit, and I'm professional. That's not what it works. That's not how it works, right? I'll give you another story. So I had professors. Now, I went to college or whatever, and I became an engineer, and I had a whole bunch of professors, all different kinds of professors that were engineers, PhDs and all that were fantastic. I had all kinds of other ones that were horrible, okay? Now, the professors that were horrible all tried to dress regal, and they all tried to use huge vocabulary, and they all tried to project this sense of high academic accomplishment, very important people. I'm a professor, right? Well, the fantastic professors, on the other hand, wore blue jeans, okay? They had just a collared shirt with short sleeve. They had a pocket protector with a couple of pins in it. You get what I'm saying? If I had a question, they would come and they would say, "Hey, Ray, what do you not understand? Let's talk about this. Let me put this in easy to understand words that you can grasp, that you can understand. Let's try to fix this." They were truly masters and professionals of the information and the knowledge that they were trying to purvey to me, that they were trying to transmit and communicate to me. So they assessed my need and they met my need. Okay, that's a professional. Whereas these other professors would say, "Oh, well, I said it like this," and then they would say it the exact same way again, and then look at me like, "Don't you get it?" And I say, "I still don't understand." And they would say, well, they would get all angry and they would get their tie going and try to prove to me through these other visual communications that I am the authority. I'm the professional. Don't challenge my understanding or my position, when that's not what I was doing at all. I was just trying to ask a question because I didn't understand, right? That's the difference between a professional and somebody pretending to be a professional. Okay, so that's my idea or my summation of what professionalism is, right? Professionalism has no fear because they are able to produce without end, right? They have the process established, so they can always produce. They don't give a fuck what you say because they got the best cocaine in the valley. You got me? That's what a professional is. Somebody who isn't a professional cares very deeply. They want the title. They want the moniker. They want the flashy watch. They want the silk tie, because those are all ways to intimidate you to believe that they are a professional, which they know they are not. Boom. There it is right there. Okay? Now, I wanted to describe one other thing. There's two types of value, okay, in a product or a piece of artwork, right? Or a restaurant or whatever for that matter. There's the elemental value, and then there's the social value, okay? The elemental value is like, hey, I got this book right here. Franklin Booth is fantastic, bar none, the best ink master, painter with the pen in the world. I don't give a fuck if you like it or you don't like it. You cannot deny his greatness. It is undeniable, right? And then I got another one, right? Another book called Isom, right? Which everybody and their mama at that time said was a fantastic book. Get in on it, blah, blah, blah. Generated $3.4 million in sales. Everybody jumped on it. It had social value. You get me? Social value. And it sold $3.4 million worth of copies, right? But then when you get the book, the elemental value is far beneath that, okay? And I purchased the book based on social value, right? The same concept with the restaurant, okay? Some restaurants are fantastic. You go there, you're surprised because the food is tremendous, right? Other restaurants, everybody's hyping it up. There's a line out the door wrapping around, 3-month reservation. You get in, you get the food, and you're like, what the fuck is this? You're charging me $200 for this? What the hell is this? This ain't good. This is crap. You get me? And then so you leave and you're upset, but they don't care if you leave and you never come back because they got a line out the door. And they're going to run through that line for the next couple of years until they exhaust that hype, and then it crashes. And then it's going to be gone. It's the same concept as NFTs, right? It was a rug pull idea just to liquidate your money based upon hype. That is social value. It's worthless. You get me? It's worthless. It's a scam. Elemental value is where you want to be. Professionalism, the real professionals who've refine themselves have elemental value. The other ones have social value. You get what I'm saying? You get where I'm going. Boom. Okay, good. Case closed. Let's move on. All right. So now that we're going to come on to the demo, because I don't want to take your time. I know James is grilling me. I'm looking at the clock. It's right at 19 minutes. Let me take another little swig. Now we're right here. We got our army of insects right here. Throw me up in the corner if you would. Now, we're going to put some elemental value into our drawing here. And what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to take what we did yesterday with the constructing of the heads, and I want you guys to go ahead and generate yourself a nice little army of insects, okay? I want you to imagine what these insects, what their purpose is, and how that would impact their design. And then use the block technique that I showed you yesterday and the process of having it as a box first, and then a simple facets, and then the anatomical shapes. That three-step process, okay, to get it right, to get what you want to get. Now, I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to start to ink these things that I laid out. And I laid these bad boys out in maybe 15 minutes, okay? So we're going to come up here and we have this first, our first insect, all right? So we have him right here, and he's got, I'm putting in the anatomical features, people. The anatomical features, okay? Maybe he has a little bit of horns, maybe he's a devil bug. I don't know. But this is what it's all about right here, okay? And this is what we're trying to do. This is what I want to free you to do with your imagination, so you can just run wild. And this is the process in which you use to become a professional at it, right? You don't have to pose. You don't have to put out your chest and try to get other people to buy in, because guess what? We're making the real deal cocaine right here. That's what we're making right here, okay? Now, Ray, why are you always talking about cocaine? Okay? That's a great question, okay? I'm glad you asked. Now, the reason why I'm always talking about cocaine is because the drug industry is the most capitalistic, merit-based industry that you're going to run across, okay? If they don't care who you are, if you got the best drugs in the city or whatever, they're going to come buy from you, okay? So I liken the art business, or what I'm trying to do, similar to how they make cocaine. I view, if I make the best cocaine, that everybody's going to come buy from me regardless of how mean or rude or whatever I am, right? Who cares, right? You're coming for the product. You're not coming for me. And so if I can go ahead and make that product, then you're going to look at me and say, I don't really care who he is. He makes the best product, okay? And that kind of shields me from all the stupid stuff that I say. Because most of the time I say some retarded stuff. It's true. And I don't care if it's retarded. We're just having a good time. It has to be entertaining. If it's not entertaining, it's not worth it, people. Maybe this guy has like one really big tooth down there, right? That's kind of funny. Okay. Then he has all these different eyes, you know, like a whole bunch of eyes. I'm just having a good time doing this, all right? He has different planes. And another measure of professionalism is how efficient they are with each stroke, okay? I remember I was studying with him, and he was fantastic at this concept. There is not a wasted stroke. So when they get in there and do it, are they tapping their paper? Are they petting their paper, as I like to say, trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do next? Well, that's a reveal that maybe their process ain't so tight. You know, maybe they need a little bit of work on their process. You know, or maybe you just caught them at the brainstorming stage, and that's okay. You know, you could be at the brainstorming stage. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, when you get the idea in your head, you should be able to work to efficiency with a relative amount of speed. And if you don't do that, you need to work on your process a little bit more, you know? And, you know, speed also is relative. Speed could mean one thing to somebody, obviously, and something different to somebody else. Maybe this insect has a sucker. You know what I mean? A little sucker right there. And it has a little bit of goo dripping out of it, right? A little goo to paralyze, you know, whoever he's trying to suck off of, right? Maybe he has a little goo right here. Maybe he has like a more goo right here, and comes down right there. And Ew, that's a lot of goo, you know, so that's kind of gross. All right, then here's his neck plate that he needs to protect himself. And then, you know, something like this. Maybe it comes down like that. So then we got, you know, another one right here. Now maybe this guy over here is more like one of those beetles with the big horn. Maybe he's like a monster beetle or like a sentry or something. Maybe he has some teeth in there. Maybe he has a couple of feelers down here. You know, we're just thinking about it. We're just trying to figure out what we're doing. But, you know, if you're going to have imagination, okay, you have to have a rigid process in which to balance that imagination out with. Well, what the hell does that mean? Okay? Well, you can daydream all you want to, but, you know, if you daydream and you don't have anything solid to contrast that daydream with, nothing feels real. Okay? So we need some solid rigidity within that idea so that we can hang those fantastical ideas upon it, and then through the contrast of the reality of your process and the fantastical ideas that you have, you'll come away with something that feels real. Okay, now think about what I just said. Variety is what imparts life. Okay, the flit back and forth of variety, that transition is what life is. Okay, that's a pretty deep concept to grab onto, and I hope you grabbed onto it. All right, and so everywhere you go with your artwork, try to put that little bit of transition back and forth into what you're doing. Okay, you get what I'm saying? I hope so. All right, now he's got a retarded mouth down here, so maybe he's got a retarded mouth. All right, some teeth right there. You see, maybe he has like a nostril right there. And we'll come back in a minute and put some heavier lines down to make this more apparent. But here we go. This one's just nasty. You got to have a couple of really nasty ones in there, okay? Or else it doesn't count. You know, insects are supposed to be scary, right? And so maybe he has some really big mandibles, right? Coming out. The big jaw underneath it. You got his dome, got a couple of feeler antennas up here. Because he doesn't want to, you know, be surprised when he's about ready to pounce on you or whatever. And then we'll go with this one. This guy over here is more of a, I don't know, a soft, sluggy kind of feel. He's got little tiny teeth. Like maybe he only eats larvae or something, or fauna. I don't know, or like mucus. And then he's got his eyeball way down here. So it kind of looks like a whale, doesn't it? It's kind of gross. Okay. Maybe he's like softer in nature. And he like, you know, oozes around or whatever. And then we got one over here. Maybe he's a little bit more mosquito-like, kind of like a little sucker. These are all just basic shapes that I'm building on top of a box in my mind. See how that goes? All right, now let's go ahead and make some of these lines darker. Give it some real depth around here. Okay. Give it some depth. Give it some line weight. The appearance. Now we're still running at 28 minutes, so we're doing good. James shouldn't have any ability to be angry at me. And we're going to try and shade just the bottom of these to make it look like he really has compound eyes. And if you don't know what compound eyes are, they're the ones where they have like 1,000 eyes in one eyeball. And those are always awesome. You love that, because then, you know, you can imagine they're like, just look at, all the eyes are looking at you. And it's all creepy, you know. So there's one, and then this one over here, he's always got to weight down. Oh, maybe he's got some hairs on the end of the mandible. Wouldn't that be creepy? Okay. And then you always have to make the scary parts jump out, right? You want the mandibles to jump out. the parts that you want people to focus on. And we're going to go ahead and blacken some of these eyes. Like they're black beady eyes or something like that. Doesn't that look gross? It's real gross. Got one eye down here. Now I'm just applying some texture, not really thinking about what the texture is too much, but just trying to apply some texture to give it a little bit of a sense of, you know, a different type of material. Like his neck is some kind of maybe armor or scales or something. Then we got this guy over here. He's got a big old eye right there, and we go over here. He's got all this goo coming out down here about his little sucker. There's his little sucker. Maybe on his sucker, maybe it's retractable. You know, like some sort of weird, you know, earthworm or something. Put some of the shadow underneath the ooze. And I'm thinking just very generally, like, what are these shapes, you know, in the box? Are they going to be, you know, highlighted, or are they going to be, you know, in the shadow? And that's really what I'm thinking about. I'm not really thinking about the specific shape that I'm drawing. I'm trying to think more in the generality of, well, if this is a cube, if this horn fits into a cube, where is it going to be shadowing at? You know, where's the shadow going to hit? So that's what I'm thinking about, not really worried about it. And then I just add the details as I see fit. Now remember, we're still doing that 70, 75, 20, 5 rule when we're doing the proportion of all our designs. I haven't left that behind. I still do that on everything, right? That's how I know how much I should add or how much I shouldn't add. And we don't want to add too much. We've got to keep everything in a harmony, in a balance, so that when we do have that compare and contrast situation, that it does get that flit of reality, okay? That little bit of flit of life. I'm saying flit, F-L-I-T. You know, like how a butterfly might flit its wings, okay? You get that little flash of reality in there. And then I'll use the chisel on the chisel end on the marker to go ahead and put some texture in there. We'll leave his eye white because that's really weird. Okay. All right, now we'll come over here to him. And there we go. We got ourselves a little bit of a insect army. Add some spikes on the back of him. Maybe a couple hairs. And there we go, people. We got a little bit of insect army. We're going to come up to one here in a second. Let's take a look at this real quick. We got a little insect army going. All right. All kinds of varieties of insects we got going on here. And those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 heads. We got 8 heads right there in a matter of 15 minutes because I jawed on for so long. You know what I'm saying? Now, people, be excited. This is what I'm talking about. This is the potential of refinement to professionalism that I'm talking about. I utilized a process, okay, to dependently, reliably generate 8 insect heads within 15 minutes. Fully inked, line weighted, and everything. Hell, I could send those off to my sticker guy right now and he'd make stickers out of them, okay? That's what I'm talking about. I don't care. I don't got a tie on. You ain't got to, like, look at my tie. You ain't got to hear the way I talk to know that I'm communicating at a level of professionalism, okay? Now, I want that for you too, okay? I want you to be excited and passionate about it, because this level of refinement is rare in the world, and it'll take you places you never thought you would go and unlock doors you never thought you would unlock, okay? This is how you elevate your life through creativity. Now get out there, elevate your life, and let's fucking go. All right.